All right, hello everybody. Award-winning artist Peter draws here today. Mostly awards that I've given to myself, but sometimes that's what you got to do. Today a drawing sponsored by Squarespace, and it's something a little bit different than what I normally do in the sense that part of it is it's extremely representational. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm sketching out the skyline of my local city, my local town, Greensboro. This is a piece that my friend asked me to make. He's, he's organizing like a little scavenger hunt. I think he does this. I think this is the 5th annual year that he's organizing this scavenger hunt, and he asked me to make like a prize, an award for, because you can like win, I guess. I don't remember. I've only done it a couple times with them, and usually there's like 20 or 30 of us divided into teams, and we run around different places in downtown Greensboro looking for different things. There's different assignments. You got to find, there's like, we each get given like a little couple of sheets of paper, and you got to find them, and whoever finds them all first or does certain little actions. Some of them are like interacting with strangers, or it's pretty fun. I don't know how to describe it. I'll tell you, it's fun, and this drawing is going to be one of the prizes. But I tried to make it Greensboro themed since it's in Greensboro and all the people playing the game are in Greensboro. This is what he asked. So I'm doing it. But basically, it's a little bit weird for me because if you've watched a lot of my other drawings, I don't usually try to make them look like specific things. And when it comes to drawing like a city skyline, there are specific buildings, right? It has to be somewhat recognizable when someone looks at it. It's like, oh yeah, that's this building, that's the other building. And so I personally didn't do a lot of very thorough research as far as the buildings, because a lot of cities have like, there's a lot of branding. Like you can go and, look up like your town probably has like these logos where it's just like line art of the skyline. Depending on your town, it's probably not exactly how the city looks like when you look at it, because I don't know, I think there are some towns like maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but like some of them like maybe Toronto or something. Sometimes the city, all the skyscrapers and big tall buildings are nicely laid out in a perfect line, but usually they're just kind of clumped up so they get in each other's way and you can't really see all the prominent buildings. But that's kind of what you want to do when you draw a picture like this. You want to get like all the prominent buildings that everyone remembers and thinks of when you see the town. So I kind of just copied someone else's art. I just had it pulled up on another monitor. I'm sorry, I don't know who made this art. There's like a million different ones online, and I just kind of looked at it and sketched it out, tried to get it kind of close and recognizable. I don't know. Is this art theft? I don't think so, because it was just someone else looking at the city. I didn't even think about that until I am talking about it just now. But basically, I think that's a very small part of my drawing, because basically my friend just asked me to like put the skyline in there, and then Peter drawsify the rest of it, which you can see me doing now, adding a bunch of doodles to it and stuff, which I think it turned out pretty cool. More on that in a second. Make sure you also check out Squarespace, because, for example, my friend started a Facebook event for this scavenger hunt, but he also could have started a Squarespace website for it and even linked the Facebook event very easily. Squarespace has all these very easy social media modules and little things you can link everything. Or if you made an event on Squarespace, you could easily export it to your different social medias like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It all hooks up very, very easily, and you don't even have to be good at web design, or you don't have to be a programmer or know HTML. Just scroll through and choose one of the cool, sleek looking templates they have and go from there. And then you can start customizing it by dragging and dropping things, moving the cool little sliders and buttons around. Go to squarespace.com for your free trial. And then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/PeterDraws for 10% off your first website or domain. Now, one thing I was probably overthinking and worrying about for almost no reason was the fact that maybe I wasn't getting it, the city skyline perfectly right. First of all, because I was just kind of sketching it out with pencil. It's obvious that that I might not have been getting like the buildings perfectly right, the proportions, the measurements. I knew I would get that a little bit wrong. I just wanted to make them recognizable, like, oh yeah, we have like the Lincoln Financial Center or something, and like these specific high rises. I just wanted them to I wanted them to be close enough that people could recognize them. But then I thought, hey, they're constantly building they're building new buildings, and I thought maybe the drawing I'm basing my drawing off of, maybe they don't have one of the new ones. Or what if right after I make my drawing, in a year there will be new buildings and my drawing will be outdated or inaccurate. But it's not really a big deal after I thought about it a little bit more, because the same kind of thing happens with, when you draw portraits of people, because sometimes you draw a portrait of a person and then they get a haircut or something, or they lose some weight, or they grow a mustache or something. So it's kind of like a little city portrait I made in that way, in the sense that the skyline could change, but it's just like a little snapshot in time. And if anyone looks at it and says, hey, this is not accurate, there's actually another building there now. Well, it's like, well, that's how it was at the time. Just like if you look at someone who's like, hey, they actually have much shorter hair now. It's like, well, that's how it was at the time. It's like a little glimpse of the past. Also, I wrote at the end of this video, my drawing was very top heavy on the piece of paper, so I needed something more in the bottom of the piece of paper, and so I added like some words, like I wrote Greensboro, NC, and I wrote like population 300,000. And then I started thinking about that. I'm like, wait, what if more people move into the city? More people move out? Just another little temporary snapshot element. And I wrote Gate City, which is like one of the nicknames of the town, because there used to be so many like railroads coming in and out of the town. So it was like a gateway to the rest of the country, apparently, back when railroads were a bigger thing. There are still some trains, which I used to watch all the time when I lived downtown, because it was fun. I think sometimes there were other people standing near the tracks, and I was usually the one standing the closest, and I think they might have been worried about me because I was standing so close to the trains, but I liked feeling the rumble and rush of the train going by. Trains are very cool in that way. It's probably dangerous because sometimes there are random things sticking out of the side of the trains, and I've seen videos of people getting thwacked by them, so I'm slightly cautious in that sense. But anyways, I don't remember what I was going to say, but a note on this paper and this pen, it did not work together perfectly, because there was some smudging going on, which was very frustrating, because I was trying to leave some white space, in the area where the profile of the buildings are, and it was smudging like crazy. And I just had to keep breathing. Don't get frustrated. It's okay. It's just life. Sometimes you have smudges. And I thought maybe it's the pen, maybe it's the paper. I think it was the paper. It was just some like random kind of standard cardstock I was drawing on, slightly smaller than printer paper size. And because if you look back at the Squarespace doodle I did, that was on some nicer like Japanese stationery. That stuff did not smudge at all. So the pen I'm using is just some sort of like gel rollerball pen I got in a pack of like used pens from someone that sent all those to me at some point. Don't even really know. It's not like a recognizable brand that I've seen a lot before. It's just some sort of gel pen. But it's worth testing it out in the future, like do a little test, wait a couple minutes, then try smudging it. And if it still smudges after it seems like it's dry still, maybe it's going to be a frustrating pen-paper combination. It's worth trying something else. I should have done that, but I didn't. And I paid for my laziness with a little bit of frustration at the smudging. But it's okay. It all turned out fine. Kind of fine. Yeah. Also, there's more I could say about the doodles that I drew above the city. At first, I thought they were just very abstract and disconnected from the city. Like I thought they would just be like a cool thing above the city, my random doodles that I always draw. But then my brain started connecting them like, oh, maybe these could relate to the city. Like my brain started thinking about, oh, maybe this represents this thing that happens in the city. Like these are the people, or these are different events. Maybe this is like the nature and the wildlife. Maybe these represent some of the people's struggles, and this is the weather, stuff like that. So it was cool how drawing a representational thing connected to a very abstract thing, they started to kind of meld together, and my brain started making connections. So maybe I'll do more of that type of thing in the future. Probably not with city skylines. I'm copying off a tiny piece of clip art, but shout out to whoever made that initial piece of Skyline clip art that I copied, by the way. Anyways, bye everyone. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Take care. All right. Goodbye.